Hello. I was at a meeting this evening of men, and the topic was anger. What something truly I felt impressed me was this man that spoke on anger in his life. And he said, when I was a young kid, I always looked up to the man that was really easygoing and grounding. But then, after a few years of holding things in, he would blow up. And when he blew up, it was epic. And this man said that he always wanted to be like that when he blew up with anger. So in his mind, anger was not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with showing fear. If you're a sensitive guy and people are respecting you, and you're passive aggressive, if you have those epic times of your life where you get to just blow up, and I tell you, it's legendary of the imprint you leave on somebody because you did it right. How blowing up and doing it right is beyond me, because there's usually some trauma that you're causing your child or your wife, or the wife causing it to the child, or the husband in this case. In working with men, there is this hero in him that says it's okay to be aggressive and competitive and really cool, and how you can let things go off of your back like water from a duck's tail. Anger has a way of disguising itself. You've always heard there's a good anger and a bad anger. Well, in this case, I'm going to look at 6 things that constitute anger. And that could be bad anger or good anger. It's legitimate because there's a reason for it being there. And if you're telling an angry person that their anger is not substantial, they're going to get really angry. And so anger is legitimate. The University of London had did a study, and I got this from off of Dr. Larry Iverson. And this study, notwithstanding, was done 20 years ago. It's an old study. And that was, what are the experiences per day, and how many are there going to be for somebody to account to being angry? And I think they're very fascinating because they go off of showing lack and neediness and that defense mechanism that's going to be happening, as the crying inside is always there for a man that is afraid of the accumulation of more powerlessness. The first one was typical frustration, and that is, priorities were made. You get on with what you're doing in the normal of the day, the norms of the day, and you don't plan on being bullied, and you got everything under control, and you're quite impressive of a personality. But something happens. You mean to get cat food at a certain store that's closest to your neighborhood or closest to your work versus the one that's closest to the gym, and somebody stepped in front of you in line and they were rude, and you had your cat food and you bit the bullet and you didn't speak up for yourself because you've been trying really hard to be passive, but you're aggressive. right? And, you know, you refuse to put the little divider that's on the cart between your cat food and their produce, and you want your product to get figured into theirs, and you want to play a trick on them and make them pay for it. I don't know. There's just these frustrations, and so you turn aggressive, and the culture of hate is totally running you, and inside you're blowing up. But you get past that. The next one is you have something that you need to do, and you got to get to a dinner date by 6 p.m. and you got to get home early, so you got to take a shower, and you ran out of gas. And this is, of course, coming from off of having normal frustration, but you want something and something gets in the way, and that is your own negligence. It's your problem. If you put gas in the car, you wouldn't have run out on E. So second is, the path that you're on is getting, dealt with. And you have to remanipulate things to make sure that you're perfect, and this was not your problem when really it was. And so there is this continual illogical conclusion that you're better than the event that was totally a mistake, and it's your problem really, and you're the one responsible for it. So there's also ego, because you're in demand. The third is just basic, you have to have it your way. And you're not a mama's boy, okay? You're not a sissy, you're very sensitive, but you've manned up and you got to have it your way. And you lost directions, or you didn't map quest, or you lost your GPS, and you got to the restaurant late. So you want to, on the fourth one, get into blaming. You want to blame that person in the supermarket that stood in front of you and wasted your time because you could have gotten home much sooner. Well, then, you had to walk to the gas station on foot, and then you had to get the container, and then you had to put the gas into your tank, and you had to drive it back to the gas station, because you ran out of gas. So you start justifying how important you are, but it's all based on you having made some general mistakes to yourself. And you're in the blaming game, because the problem originally was that somebody stepped in front of you when you needed to get your cat food. So there's an accumulation of powerlessness that's occurring. The fifth one is that we got to find a way to punish that supermarket. So you think about vandalism. I mean, this is if we're talking about a real juvenile, let's say. But you want to find a way to punish. So maybe your punishment is not going to come out in vandalism because you're not a criminal, or you're not a junkie or a punk. The punishment comes out in you saying something very rude on that dinner date, and it's only isolating yourself more. And then sixth, of course, is planning to repunish maybe a relative for not having been there, not loving you the way you needed to be loved. And so you just have fear of being more powerless because you can't play God anymore. And you aren't involved in anything epic because you're complete destructive. You're a hater. Poor people are always despised in society. You're not doing well financially, or you're not getting the travels that you want to have like everybody else has. Maybe you've been a man wife and a houseboy, and you've been highly abused, and you're single as a gay man, and you don't have anybody that's going to rescue you. And, you just want to be a parasite. And deep down, you're just needy. I'm not here to give you any solutions on your anger, other than there's 6 things that start leading on to the next point and the next point, and by the time you know it, you're out trying to redo damage that you don't need to be doing with your relative because you're doing the blaming game and you got to punish, and it didn't work at the dinner date. And so, I want to encourage people that if you're dealing with anger, we want to clean out our minds. We want to get rid of our dirty thoughts. And we want to take social responsibility and not resort to corruption and greed. Some of the things that are always in culture and been always ruining people. God bless you.